This is a truck that I don't think you guys have seen, at least not, you know, people who, well, the people who don't know us, that watch these videos, which I don't know how many of you there are, but you have not seen this truck yet. So this truck is currently owned by a good friend of mine. About a year ago, I bought the truck 3 years ago, and I put the wheels and tires on it about 6 months after I bought it. And from that point on, the friend of mine had bugged me about buying it, you know, or getting it from me, or, you know, whatever, figuring out something. And it's actually the friend of mine that I got this side-by-side from. So we worked out, I was like, you know what, fine. You know, you know, it's time for me to move on, time for me to start on something else. So I said, screw it. And we figured out a deal with him, and ended up, you know, he ended up with the truck. So the truck is a 2006, obviously it's a crew cab dually. It's an F350, 6 liter. I think it has about 240 on it now. So I got it from a guy that I've known for a long time. His dad bought it new in 06, and they used the truck for like towing a big enclosed trailer around for doing shifter cart events or something. I don't remember exactly, so it had a decent amount of miles put on it. Seemed like in a pretty short amount of time. From what they told me, at just shy of 100,000 miles, it ended up having an engine put in it. When I bought the truck, I didn't get any receipts or anything like that. I didn't get anything proving that it had an engine put in it. I didn't really care that much, and I trusted that, you know, that he was telling me the truth. When I was working at the Ford dealership, I ran the VIN on it, and anything that's been done at any Ford dealership, you can put the VIN in and it'll pull up that work that's been done. So, like I say, when I was at Ford, I looked it up, and sure enough, it had an engine put in it. Basically, from the sounds of it, it had either an ejector tip fall off or cracked an injector nozzle or something, and melted a piston. So Ford put an engine in it, and they did a bunch of other stuff while it was there. But yeah, so it's basically stock. It's got a 5-inch MBRP exhaust with a muffler, and it's got gear head tuning on it. And then the engine is basically stock other than that. It's got head studs, it's had an oil cooler, EGR delete, all that stuff done to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But surprisingly too, it's still on the stock transmission as well with 240,000 on it. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and give you a rundown of all the stuff. He's done a little bit to it since he's had it. It's the form that it's in right now is basically how I had it, minus a few things. But yeah, so it has Fuel Mavericks on it. The fronts are a 20 by 12, obviously negative 44. The rears are they're a 20 by, they're either 8 1/4 or 8 3/4. And the tires are a 35 1250 Mastercraft MXT. I really like these tires. They were really good to me, and they've been really good to him. They have probably about 25,000 miles on them, and they're still this is at least 60% tread, I would say, and you're good all the way around. The shitty part about these, okay, so a dually with any kind of aftermarket wheel, even if these were a dually front wheel, you can't just directly rotate them. So you couldn't put a dually front wheel in the back. So you'd have to dismount, no matter what, you have to dismount unless you have, no, even the stock wheels, because the inside of the wheel isn't polished. So if you flopped it around and put it in the back, it'd look like crap. So you have to swap, like physically dismount and remount on a different wheel. And so that being said, it's kind of a pain to rotate the tires, so they don't get on this thing. They haven't been rotated that much. I don't think that they've been rotated since he's had it. I rotated them when they had like 13,000 miles on them, so they've got about 12,000 on them now. And they don't cup. Like they don't, you know, these are starting to get a little cupped, so it's time for them to be rotated. But I don't know, you know, they're like say they've been a great tire for me and for him. I've had them on 2 trucks. My brother has them on his truck. They've been a decent tire. So anyways, that's the wheel and tire setup, 35-12-50 with a 20x12 in the front. All I did was remove the dually adapter. It's just bolted on to the wheel bearing. And so it just comes off real quick. And then the rear, like I say, so there's 3 options you can get for the Fuel Maverick for the dually wheel. And this is the middle of the middle one. So basically this is good for a 1250 wide tire. I don't remember the offset on them, but that pretty much is the rundown of that. It's got Fox shocks all the way around, 2.0s. It's got a Fox steering stabilizer, 2.0 steering stabilizer. It has a BD tap shifter. It's got a bulletproof clutch fan kit in it. That's pretty much it for those modifications. It has these headlights, which these headlights actually were in a different truck I had, and I took them out before I sold it, and I put them in this thing, and these things are amazing. I had a guy locally build these. I'm not sure that he's doing headlight builds anymore, but these things, I've never had a set of headlights that work as good as these. That's why it's here. Is the bulbs went bad, which they're like 4 years old, so I don't blame them. But they were a little on the expensive side. I think they were like $800 to build these, and the only reason why they were that expensive was because he did the dual projectors, which this one is just the turn signal, so it doesn't do headlight things. But worth every penny. Best money I've ever spent, hands down. Awesome. And it's got little stuff like HIDs and the fogs and that type of thing. Some of the stuff that I did to this that was kind of a first-time thing, like these. I love these things. I think they're amazing. They are a switchback, so when you turn on that's just the running light, obviously, and then you turn on the turn signals and they switch over to amber. And then it's got recon cab lights and stuff like that. The dually fender lights are a pretty interesting thing. So the recon cab lights, they're name brand, they were expensive. These were like $8 on Amazon. And I haven't replaced a single one of these. And they've been on the truck basically since I bought it, so 3 years. And I usually run around with my running lights on all the time too. And there's not a single issue with those. I've already had to replace one of the cab lights. So anyways, he's done a handful of things to it since he's had it. He put the lights in the back bumper and put the running boards on it and a couple of other things. If you don't know, I'll try and give you the best look of these as I can. So those are 1-Up off-road traction bars. They are amazing. They are by far the best traction bar on the market, hands down. I put those on there. But yeah, like I say, I mean, that's pretty much it. Basically, the truck never reached the point. I actually did. I shouldn't say that. The turbo kit, I don't know if we've posted that video. There's a turbo kit that's over here on the shelf. I'll walk over here and just kind of point at it real quick. That turbo down there on the bottom shelf. And the piping there. So that's an irate diesel T4 kit. The turbo is a S363 SXE, and that turbo kit originally was on this truck. I put it on the truck. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was a little laggy for stock fuel, but my plan was to put bigger injectors and all that stuff in it at some point, but it never got there. And with the way that turbo ran, I didn't want to leave it on the truck. I wanted to put a stock turbo back on it because he's not like, one, he doesn't care, and two, I wanted it to be something that he didn't have to think about. He could just hook his trailer to it and go and not worry, and not have to deal with, because you had to know how to make the truck do what you wanted it to do with that turbo on it. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. like I say, I think I explained the wheel and tire thing good enough that I think that if anybody has any questions about it, that should answer them. But yeah, so, and like I say, it's here just to replace the bulbs for the headlights. This is, I believe these headlights that are in it are Morimoto, and I went ahead and ordered some new Morimoto lights for it. I opted to do, which if I recall, they weren't really that much more expensive if they were even that much, or even if they were even more expensive at all. But I opted to do the upgraded kit, so it's got like different whatever these things are. They're calling it a computer, but I think they're the ballasts. So they're like the high output ballasts, you know, and the good bulbs and all that stuff. So hopefully he'll have just as good a luck with those as we've had with these. And actually, I think this ballast shorted out internally. So I was able to get, I wasn't able to get this side to work, but I was able to get that side to work. And I think that this ballast shorted out internally, and it actually, I don't know how good you're going to be able to see it, but it melted the, see how well you can see that? It melted the fuse, which that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That, I mean, it must have been, I don't know, I have no idea, but I mean, it just melted this thing all up. And that's what's left of the fuse. So that's why they wouldn't work. They wouldn't even turn on at all. And that's why they wouldn't turn on, is because the fuse was all burned up. But so like I say, I think this ballast shorted out or something and had some kind of an issue. So I'm going to go through and clean all this up for him too. Since I'm in here, I got to take both the headlights out and move all this wiring and stuff and get the old wiring out of the way, run the new wiring, and then I'll clean all this up for him while I'm there. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to quit rambling because that's what I seem to do the best at. But yeah, so that's that truck. The one thing that I will say before I end the video is the one thing that I really never liked about this setup, and it was something that really only I noticed and other people didn't notice it till I said something about it. But so it's got 1250 wide tires all the way around. These are a 12 wide wheel, and those are like, say, they're like an 8 1/4, 8 3/4, something like that. So with a 12 wide wheel and with these tires, so these tires I don't think are a true 1250 wide. And so basically you can see they've got like a little bit of a stretch to them, right? So then you go back here to the back, and because of how narrow these wheels are, the tires are sucked in. So this does one of two things. One, in my opinion, it makes it look a little goofy because you got a sucked in bead, and so the tires are a little balloony, and then you've got a stretched look, but it also makes the rear tires taller than the front. Because if you think about that, the tires sucking the bead in of the tire is going to make the tire taller. So you basically widen the bead out, and it's going to shorten the tire. So if you look at it from back, like on the side, you can physically see the size difference. But other than that, it's really just the fact that the tires aren't uniformed looking, because these are a little stretched, and those are the opposite of stretched. So I think the next, say, new set of tires that I'll buy to do a dually like this, I'll do 1150s in the rear and then do a 1350 in the front, and that'll help the tires look a little more uniformed. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe this doesn't bug you. I think it still looks good. It's not that like it looks like crap. Like, it still looks amazing in my opinion. But yeah, so, and it's funny, this truck inspired quite a few people I know to buy dualies and do similar setups with them. And it's getting more common, but a dually setup like this is fairly few and far between, at least around here. But yeah, so that'll be all for this one. And yeah, so we'll see you guys later.